You're about to hear the weirdest and dumbest rules in all of 40k. The rules so silly that they actually decrease your immersion in the game, and also why they exist. Before we start counting down, I need to make clear that this is not a video meant to bash the game I love. This video is about the funny, bizarre, and the strange rules that exist in the world of 40k and how you could explain these situations in a role-playing or narrative setting. I'll also go over how we could possibly change the rule so it can make more sense in our heads and actually increase our immersion in the game. Now hit that subscribe button for more awesome 40k content, and let's get started. Number 10. Humans are faster than Eldar. When a guardsman is ordered to move, something inside him awakens. No one knows how, but the humble guardsman is capable of moving at speeds at over 75 miles per hour. No, I didn't say Space Marine. The Space Marine is actually the same speed as like a fat Inquisitor in the game. I said guardsman. A guardsman can run circles around a Marine. He's able to grab objectives in enemy deployment zones in later parts of the battle, as long as there's a commander nearby to awaken his inner flash. Now, how I try to explain this to myself, like in my head, is I try to think of it like StarCraft. So Marines have those stim pack things, and they inject the stim pack and then they move really, really fast. I try to think of it something like that, but there's not really a good way to explain what's happening on the board. So the reason this rule exists is that guardsmen need orders, and move sounds like a pretty cool order. I like it. I want it to stay. So I think we're obviously changing orders to the command phase in the future, so maybe we could change this to like having a D3 plus 3 inch advance instead, and then maybe give them something else in a different way. But a human should not be able to outrun an Eldar if they both rolled a 3 on an advance roll. Number 9. You can punch through a wall, but you cannot shoot through a wall. Have you ever been so mad that you just punched a hole right through the drywall? Or you punched your controller and smashed it out of frustration? Or you punched your pillow as hard as you could? Did your hand go right through your pillow? Of course it did. That's because your fist is bigger than a bullet, and thus it has more destructive force.
Fact.
So in 40k, if you're in combat with a wall, you're allowed to melee attack. Like this dreadnought can melee attack these harlequins and vice versa, but you can't shoot your weapons. So even though this dreadnought can shoot into combat, and even though these harlequins have pistols, you can melee attack, but those pistol shots cannot be made, and that dreadnought cannot fire at them because he can't see them. Now, the way I like to imagine this is that the wall is being destroyed and there's dust and smoke and debris all over the place that creates kind of like a smoke cloud. Either you can't see your enemy that well, or you don't know if it's an ally, something like that maybe. Overall, I think this is just a bit of an oversight by developers. It's very easily fixed by just adding a rule that if you're in combat with something, you can always count as seeing it as well. And just, it's the one exception where you can break the line of sight rule because it kind of makes sense. Number 8, the Gretchen versus the Land Raider. Land Raiders, like all ground vehicles in 40k, need very open and very smooth roads in order to move properly. See if you can figure this out. If a Land Raider leaves your table quarter moving at 40 miles per hour to a Gretchen running 10 miles per hour straight at the Land Raider, do you know what will happen? That's right. The Land Raider will be stopped dead in its tracks while the Gretchen punch and kick it. The Land Raider will be forced to fall back and run, fearing for its withered reputation and that it might grow worse. All while the predatorial Gretchen give chase to their clumsy prey, effectively crowd controlling the poor big guy for the entire game. The Land Raider could also stand its ground, but all of its guns must shoot the evil little things off of him over the course of the next few turns. So the way I try to think of it, the Gretchen, or whatever unit that's tying up the Land Raider, it's putting grenades down its gun barrels, it's putting potatoes in its exhaust ports. Honestly, who knows? So the Gretchen and the Land Raider is just an example, but any unit can lock up most vehicles simply by being in combat with them. I wouldn't mind seeing tank shocking come back, where either you're hiding amongst ruins or you're being run over by enemy armor. Number 7. Big scary monster versus horde. In 40k, big giant monsters like the Herodul or the Wraith Lord, they really struggle at killing multiple units in melee. This is because Hollywood's taught us that big scary monsters, they move in slow motion all of the time. But for real though, have you ever been harassed by like a couple of flies and you just can't seem to hit them, and then the flies are just laughing at you while they make you slap yourself? But if the fly was huge, it would be really easy to hit. In 40k, if your Barbie charges these 10 guardsmen, like, he can't kill all 10 guardsmen. He's got 6 attacks, so he can kill 6 of them in a perfect world, but it's going to take him a couple turns to chew through these guys. 6 attacks can only kill 6 models. So even if those guardsmen fail a leadership test, they're probably still going to be there, and you have to either fall back or sit in combat with them for another turn, and you're like... So this rule works this way because damage doesn't cleave like in Age of Sigmar. So if it did, monsters would be too powerful and also too run-of-the-mill. So Codex Creep has also boosted other units more than early ones. That's why a Hive Tyrant with Rending Claws attacks 4 times, while a Terminator with Lightning Claws attacks like 5 to 6 times. So the way I fix this is to add some kind of leadership debuff or something that being so outmatched in combat, it applies in some way, shape, or form a little bit more. I feel like those guardsmen should be shitting their pants and running away. Number 6. Trees are really, 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 really tall. So in the future, trees are different. They grow to such preposterous heights that they actually start to break the atmosphere. So anything that you would consider kind of dense does this, so smoke as well. Like all these rules, the orcs believe it's true, so it is. Fact. So shooting through trees gives you -1 to hit. So even if you don't need line of sight, it's still -1 to hit. So if this basilisk wants to shoot that rhino, he's going to take -1 to hit. Even if he's all the way back here, like, the bullet goes through 2 sets of trees in this case. And even though he doesn't need line of sight, he still takes the -1 to hit from the trees. So this rule honestly makes no sense. I can't really explain this one. The trees, I guess, are just really tall. So I would change the rule to just say it ignores all cover rules except cover saves or something to that extent. Number 5. Promethean and flamethrowers are actually alive. Do you really know what Promethean is? It's not gasoline. The orcs believe that it's what Tyranids become when they die. This is why when Promethean is let loose, it will just fly directly towards its target you wanted it to, because the flame itself is alive. You can't miss with this weapon. Like, it's impossible to miss with this weapon. So I mean, fire works similar. There was one time where I was just a kid and I had some hairspray and a lighter, and you know how cool that can be. And then I accidentally scorched the side of an airplane and I had to pay a big fine. So flamers auto hit because they are supposed to be representing that they are hard to dodge. So it's kind of an oversight that they automatically hit planes, which would make me happy if they just added a flame to the flame weapon so that it can't affect aircraft, and maybe if you shot a flamethrower into an avatar of Cain, it might actually heal him. So things to that extent, I think, could really increase the immersion level in this game. Number 4. Plot armor is real in 40k. See that Marine? The Marine with the plasma gun? Like, he's my favorite, so he's gonna be the last to die because it tells a better story.
Oi! There's an orc on this objective. You can't kill a boss before his crew.
So the same rule applies if you spot an enemy in the middle of the road out of cover. Like, it just wouldn't be right to shoot him first, because the guy that you can barely see that's behind the rock in the forest over there, well, he's making fun of your mother. So the way I like to think of this is that the guy with the plasma gun, he died, or the orc on the objective, he did die, but then the next Marine picked up the plasma gun, or the next orc just moved in and took the other one's place. This is a pretty easy fix by just making it go back to the way it used to be, where you can't take the cover save on the guy in cover while that guy is out of cover. He has to die first. Me, as the attacker, like, I choose what I shoot at. Number 3, stay off the grass. A herd can only move as fast as its slowest member. So when one person steps into a forest, everyone suffers a slow. So keep your squads lined up and together, and don't go into the forest alone. Maybe someone can leave a comment on how they like to explain this rules interaction in their head, but to me it just kind of feels weird. So when a squad of, say, 5 immortals moves past this forest, if little Johnny over here decides he wants to put a foot in that forest, everybody's going to take -2 to their movement because of Johnny over here. So we can blame him. He's gone now. So this is a pretty easy fix by just making it so that model, like little Johnny, he should have to take the -2 to his penalty. But the terrain rules are kind of new, and they're just trying to keep things simple and organized for now, which I can't blame them. Number 2, accuracy is always the same. So I don't care how many womp rats you've bagged back home, you always have the same accuracy. Like when you punch a mosquito right out of the air.
Fortunately, I brought my all-purpose bat swatter.
Or you accidentally walk into an open door. Like, if an orc shoots the broadside of that barn, an orc will be just as lucky to hit that broadside of the barn as he would a clay pigeon.
You got one, Batman.
Touche.
So there's an old orc story about an orc who tried to shoot the dirt he was standing on. So when he attempted it, the bullet came out the back end of his gun and right through his face. Just like if you yourself, like you want to punch a Jedi and you roll a 5 or a 6, you hit that Jedi. It doesn't matter how much training he's had.
You got another one.
So I don't mind too much that, there's a ballistic skill, but I do wish they'd bring weapon skill back. They took out weapon skill just to simplify the game, especially for new players, where there's just one less step of math that you do, but I think you could just use the same strength and toughness chart. A guardsman's bayonet really shouldn't have the same chance to hit another guardsman as it would a space marine captain, as easily as he would a primarch, as easily as he would a giant tank. So before I reveal number 1, here's some honorable mentions that didn't quite make the list. You can throw grenades at airplanes. Whether it's a guardsman throwing the grenade or a primarch, it doesn't matter. You can throw grenades at airplanes. Vehicles don't get cover, even if the only thing you can see is their antenna or just the end of their butt. Mortarion can die to excessive wing trauma. Space Marine doctrines affect bullets instead of movement. Tanks can shoot out their butts. How leadership rules work in general. The commissar will shoot his own men, but refuses to shoot into combat.
Oh man, so many points being made.
Number 1, Primaris Marines are dicks. Look at these sexy new tanks. Like, I say look because you can look, but you cannot touch. No, you are not Primaris. The seats inside these fancy new rides are for Primaris butt cheeks only. Unless you're one of the many women we pick up while we're out riding in them.
So, that was the thing that happened.
Mainly, I'm looking at you, crap-born Marines. Sorry, booster seats don't exist in the 40k universe. Sucks to be you. So the way I try to think of this is old people and new technology. They hate it. Putting a firstborn inside an impulsor will bring nothing but
Back in my day, we just ran the bastards over. Or, what does this doohickey do?
So the main reason this rule exists is because Games Workshop wants you to buy the new primaris stuff. If you needed land readers and land speeders and rhinos and things for your army, it would be easy to find them on eBay or a garage sale, and their Marines are everywhere. They're not hard to come by. Already having the model that works for the new stuff doesn't pay their writers and engineers and all the different things it takes to bring you this game's paychecks. I could see in the future them changing this rule to let you do whatever you want with your Marines, but for now, until the manufacturing slows down for whatever the new hotness is going to be, this is just the way it is. Let me know down in the comments what rule bothers you the most. I bet we can come up with some pretty amazing answers that I completely forgot about, and there's probably a lot of rules that I didn't even think of that should have been in this list. Let me know, I really want to hear them.